Hey guys, what's up? It's Rygar the Destroyer, and today we're going to be taking a look at L3-37 from the Star Wars 6-inch Black Series. This is a pretty cool figure, but before we take a closer look at it, let's go ahead and take a look at its packaging. So here it is, pretty standard for what we've seen out of the Black Series. Nice big window here on the front, and a nice image of the character down here in the corner. And of course, on the back, that same image is repeated, and there is a brief description. If you'd like to read that, you can go ahead and just pause the video. So anyway, like I said, let's go ahead and get back to the figure itself here. Now L3 stands at about 5 1/4 inches tall, so she's right in scale with all of your other Black Series figures, and she does not come with any accessories at all. Now, because this figure is a droid, its articulation is a lot different than you know, a lot of the regular Black Series figures, so we'll spend some extra time going through that here. So in the top of her head, she's got a ball peg, and as you can see, it gives her a pretty nice range of motion as well as a swivel. And then at the base of the neck, there's also a ball peg, so you can get a little bit extra range of motion to give this thing some personality. And of course, both ends swivel, of course, so you can swivel them around. Now, in the shoulder, there's a ball peg, and then there's a hinge on top of that. Now, the hinge doesn't do much just because of the design of the robot itself. It hits on the body. But the ball peg does allow for a nice range of motion, as well as a swivel 360. Now, right above the elbow joint, there's a swivel on both sides, and then there's a hinge. And, you know, because there's a lot of wires and stuff on this figure, this elbow here is a little bit restricted, as well as this one, as you can see. You know, again, that's not necessarily Hasbro's fault. It's just the design of the robot. There's not much else they could have done. Then here in the wrist, there's a hinge with a swivel. In the torso here, there's a single ball peg with a nice range of motion. Of course, it does swivel side to side. Then in the hips here, again, they're doing that same thing. I'll try and show it, where there's a ball peg, and then basically, it's hard to see with all the wires and stuff. There's basically a ball peg for the hips there instead of like a T-joint or anything. And then of course you can see, I'm not sure if you can see this, but right here there's a swivel joint on top of that. So it's basically the same thing as in the shoulders, just a little different. Not the greatest range side to side, but front to back it's pretty good. And of course in the movie this thing was kind of cobbled together, so it doesn't have the greatest range of motion even in the movie. At the hinge, it's got a ratcheted knee swivel, which is nice because when I saw the design of this figure, I was worried about it actually being able to stand up. But these joints are nice and tight. So that's good to see. And then here at the ankle, there is a swivel on both sides. So kind of unusual articulation. You know, overall, I think that this figure is fine for what it is. But I think that a lot of people are probably going to end up passing on it just because it's not the greatest figure. I think they did a nice job representing the character, but as a figure overall, it's just not as much fun, in my opinion, as some of the other figures in this line. However, there are some things in this figure that I like. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Hasbro's mentioned that they're going to do a battle droid in this upcoming year. And one thing that I'm really glad to see is this knee joint here. And overall, I think the articulation on this thing is pretty good. For a battle droid, obviously there are less exposed wires. So I think if they apply similar articulation to this, as this figure to a battle droid in the future, I think it'll be much more successful. And we won't have to worry about the figure being able to stand up and stuff because this figure is perfectly fine at standing and holding poses and everything. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I guess I'll see you later.